Hello, BookTube. I'm Peg, and welcome to my channel. I've been reading through the different books on the Republic of Consciousness list this month, and I've mentioned before it's a prize given for small presses, and they define that as publishers that have under 5 full-time employees. And as I read, I've been realizing that I really know very little about publishers and how the publishing business works, and I'm sure they're very honored to be on this prize list. So anyway, I decided to, as I'm looking through these books, to kind of find out a little bit about each of the small publishers that printed this book as I read the different books. So I thought I'd share just a little bit about what I've learned here today with you with just a few of the books. The more I looked into it, the more interesting it got. So I'm not going to be able to talk about all of them in one video, but I thought I'd mention a few here. The first book I'm going to talk about is Playing Possum by ARG Press. That's 4 A's, R-G-H. Now I'm doing this with the publishers in alphabetical order, so I'll list them below that you can find out more about them if you want. Okay, this ARG Press. Well, first of all, I'll just as a review, I've talked about this book before, but it's a quirky kind of story with a lot of complex references actually to T.S. Eliot. It's nominally a story about him maybe or maybe not killing his wife in a hotel and going on the run and spending a night in another hotel. And the really fun part of it is that it then has a detective from contemporary world going back and trying to solve the mystery of did he kill his wife or not. And I'm really looking forward to reading this again. I read it when it was on the Goldsmiths list, and it's one that certainly bears rereading. Anyway, this ARG Press that published it is a very small shoestring operation. It only has actually 2 people, Paul Anderson and Anna Chen, and they say that they started with just publishing their own work and their friends. And at this point, it looks to me like they just actually do have the 4 authors. Their goal is to publish an ebook every couple months and a paperback every year or so. And they certainly hit the jackpot with this paperback. Their state that they are looking for short books that can be essays, poetry, or short stories, and they are socialist of a countercultural libertarian bent. So I thought that was kind of interesting. They do have supposedly another book coming out anytime now. Their website said it was due in the autumn of 17, but I don't believe it's out yet. And it's called Paint the West Red, The Strange Story of British Maoism. And this is actually by Paul Anderson, the head of the press. So I'm looking forward. That sounds like it's going to be interesting. Okay, the next one we get to is a publisher small press called And Other Stories, which is actually a little bit larger than the last one. And their book that they have on this list is Sorry to Disrupt the Peace by Patty Cottrell. This is done in the manner of a semi-autobiographical novel in which the narrator Helen tries to find out why her brother committed suicide. And it's actually supposedly bleakly comic, and the LA Review of Books called it a stylized contemporary noir novel. So that looks interesting. As far as the publisher And Other Stories, it's a not-for-profit group headed by Stephen Tobler, And they are looking for fiction that is mind blowing, challenging, and shamelessly literary. Sounds good to me. They're very ecologically minded. They use paper from a local printer and reduce their carbon footprint by reducing their travel and printing. Another big goal of theirs, they do some translated works, and they try to pay their translators fairly. That's a big thing now, the translation and the art and the skills involved there, and that they should be paid also. And they even run a competition to find good translators. Their aim is to promote diverse literary culture and new talent. Okay, they have quite a few books, prize winning books to their credit, and one that I have read and immediately noticed was Deborah Levy's Swimming Home, which was on the Booker list for 2012, on the short list. And that's been much talked about here on BookTube and in other venues. It might have been on the women's list also. I'm thinking maybe it would. Deborah Levy is quite well known. Okay, and last I'm going to talk about the Gallows Pole. Is this a great cover or what? And it's by Blue Moose Books. Now, this book by Ben Myers takes place in 18th century Yorkshire, and it deals with a band of outlaws who are actually counterfeiting coins there in Yorkshire. And this seems to have, from what little bit I've heard and read, that a lot of atmosphere of Yorkshire. So I looked into Yorkshire a little bit more. But first of all, I want to say that this author has another book, Pig Iron, by the same publisher, which has recently been, the film rights have been purchased by one of the biggest independent film and TV makers in Europe. And they're kind of hush-hush about exactly who or what, but that sounds like it'll be interesting. Okay, as for Blue Moose Books themselves, they are based in Hebden Bridge, West Yorkshire. And this geographically not so well American, I actually had to look it up and tried, and I was quite interested in that area that both this book takes place in and the publisher is in. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But first of all, it's Blue Moose Books is run by Kevin and Hetha Duffy, and was started in 2006. And their main delight is in finding new talent. Their manifesto, listed on their website, is that they were sick and tired of seeing celebrity books everywhere. They actually called them orange-haired celebrities. I thought that was funny. Okay, when they do publish a new book, Kevin himself drives the author around to the different library events and festivals, which they have a lot of, and gives them an opportunity to, I guess, read from and talk about their books. They mention that they really want to have dramatic and striking covers, which this one certainly does, and that it needs to pass the strokeability test. That, I guess, is the feel. Even it does kind of feel good. It feels like, yeah, a good book. If you can see, the eyes are actually, I guess, some of the coins that they're counterfeiting. Anyway, and they state that they consider what they are is a delicatessen as opposed to a supermarket of books. Just before I go, I want to show a little bit about what I found out about Yorkshire, and in particular Hebden Bridge, where they live and where this book took place, around Yorkshire. And this isn't probably real meaningful to look at, but I just love to look at pictures of England, and I probably sound like American fangirl, but I really am. They just looks beautiful, and I can even see in the this is the crags down at the bottom. You can see what is going to be some of the atmosphere in the book itself, and also in this town they have a ruined church, which I like ruins. We don't have too much of them over here, but that looks amazing, and you feel like there's quite a bit of myth. And they do say that this novel is rich in the myth of the past. So these pictures kind of gave me an idea. Okay, that's enough of the publishers for now, but I'm going to be back and look into some of the other publishers that are on this list. So thanks for listening. Bye.